But Biden administration officials insist the border right there, where those people are just walking across, that's not open, that's closed. Not kidding, watch.
The border is closed. We are expelling single adults and families under the Title 42 authority that rests with the Center for Disease Control. We decided as an administration that we will not expel unaccompanied children.
We knew that. Here with reaction, the mayor of Del Rio, Texas, Bruno Lozano. Mayor, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay, but I'm a little puzzled because the secretary right there said the border is closed, and yet very clearly the border is not closed. You're on the other side. Is the border closed?
I would very much disagree with that statement. The way that it's been handling or being managed seems to be wide open for unlawful entry into the United States.
Okay. And you've got a problem because a lot of those people are coming into your town. You've reached out to the administration for help, and what have they told you?
They keep telling us that the border's under control, and I simply do not understand how, with a 393% increase this fiscal year alone, last year we had 19,724 captures at this point, and right now we're at 97,398. I simply do not understand how that's under control.
Yeah, no kidding. Mayor, do you remember the old days? You've been down in Del Rio for a while. Remember the old days when the Border Patrol would be on one side, the American side of the border, and migrants will be coming over, and they just go, hey, stop, turn around, go home. If a Border Patrol agent said that these days, they'd probably get fired because the administration clearly wants people across.
It appears that there's a different approach to immigration, either with lack of personnel to actually patrol on the ground. And I mean, you see the video of 52 persons in that video that was shown the other day. It's happening here in my community. Mm-hmm.
Sure. You know, and the number one priority of the Biden administration from the get-go has been COVID, you know, trying to get the transmission rates down and things like that. We've been talking about it every day because it's a global pandemic. But here's the thing. As those people approach the United States, how many of those people are actually being allowed into the country but are not being tested for COVID? They could be bringing COVID in, and that's one of the things you have been very concerned with, and you've asked the federal government for help, and what have they told you?
It's very peculiar because Americans, to come back into the country from foreign destinations, you have to have a negative COVID-19 test up to 72 hours prior to your flight. Meanwhile, you have persons entering unlawfully that have no COVID testing, and the Department of Homeland Security was administering those tests, but they've recently called me, Dr. Eastman recently called me and told me that DHS can no longer legally administer those tests and are trying to collaborate with the city of Del Rio so that we can continue their testing on their behalf. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. There's obviously no plan of action, and it's being paid for by FEMA, which is our tax dollars, for natural disaster. And I simply do not understand how illegal crossing is considered a natural disaster for FEMA funding. So, many questions, few answers.
No kidding. And Mayor, it's got to hurt you to say the administration has no plan of action because you're a Democrat, and this is a Democrat president.
It's very disturbing that there's continued to be just extensions of fixes with using Band-Aids. I mean, you have a bursted pipe in the middle of your kitchen, and it's flooding not only your house, but the entire neighborhood. And it appears that they're just using duct tape to fix it. You got to cut the source. It's quite simple. Any plumber would tell you, turn off the water.
That is such a good way to put it. Mayor, the DHS had this statement. All along the southwest border, our team has established partnerships with community-based organizations, cities, and counties to ensure that all migrants released from DHS custody are tested and isolated in compliance with recommendations. We have a system in place to reimburse 100% of the cost, provided that either the state or locality accepts the funding. Do you agree with that?
I think that's ridiculous. I think that's just enticing the migrants to come illegally all over again. I mean, they're going to get free testing. Meanwhile, Americans have to pay for that test when they're in their foreign destinations. So it just doesn't make any sense why people who cross unlawfully, illegally are getting this royal treatment post-crossing.
Yeah.
So.
You know what? Secretary Mayorkas should call you because you say that statement is ridiculous, and at the same time you say that him saying the border is closed, that's ridiculous as well. You've got a lot of questions, but you have not gotten a lot of answers, and that is the troubling part.
Absolutely.
Mayor, thank you very much for joining us. Good luck to you.
Thank you again for having me.